On 22 June 1988, a man went to swim at Perth's most popular beach, Cottesloe, when he kicked something metal in the ocean surface. Investigating further, he discovered an overturned car partially buried in the sand. The car was later identified to belong to a young woman reported missing several days earlier, Julie Cutler. An extensive search found no sign of her. In the decades to come, her case would baffle to investigators. This is the case of Julie Cutler. Julie Leanne Cutler was a 22-year-old woman living in Perth, Australia. She had graduated from Iona Presentation College. She loved acting and telling stories, and after graduating, she went on to study English literature and theatre at the West Australian Institute of Technology, now known as Curtin University. Her father described Julie as a quiet, shy, reliable, introspective girl who was respectful of other people. Julie, having lost her mother, Robin, to Hodgkin's disease during her childhood, maintained a close relationship with her father, Roger, and her younger sister, Nicole. Julie's best friend, Jennifer Marr, said that Julie was generally level-headed, but she could be unpredictable and occasionally depressed. She recalled that Julie was known to be a drama queen, and sometimes this was fun, but it could also be excessive. Julie appeared to suffer from some deep-seated and persistently negative thoughts, where minor incidents would cause her to react or go into her shell. Upon completing her bachelor's degree, Julie embarked on an extensive European journey with friends before returning home in 1987. She started her job at the Parmelia Hilton, one of 2 5-star hotels located in Perth at the time, where she cleaned rooms and was a general floor staffer. At the time, Julie and her sister Nicole lived together, but Julie moved out after a big argument between the pair. Julie moved in with her best friend, Jennifer's sister, Fiona Marr, into a flat in Fremantle. Nicole later said she saw her sister again once more when she went to the Fremantle markets to see her at the stall she was working at, in an effort to reconcile. Julie told Nicole she would call her, but disappeared shortly after. Disappearance. On 19 June 1988, Julie finished her shift from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. and attended the staff awards function at the Parmelia Hilton later that night. She changed into a black high-necked, long-sleeve dress that had a gold button on the right shoulder, putting her work clothes into a plastic bag. There were estimated to be approximately 180 guests at the function, the majority of whom were staff of the hotel or partners and friends of staff members. Julie drank throughout the party. Her co-worker, Consuela Harper, said that at one point she ordered 3 champagnes and downed them back to back. As the party went on, she danced with 2 young fellow employees. The 2 men who were Polish employees at the hotel, named Tadeusz Maciejewski and Gregory Swiotek, invited Julie and Harper back to their place after the staff party to have a drink and watch a movie together. Harper said Julie wanted to accept, but Harper was not keen and suggested Julie to not go as well as she was extremely drunk and should go to sleep. Julie agreed and told them she would not join them after all. At around 12:30 p.m., Julie and Harper left the hotel together. They walked out of the hotel through the rear staff entrance and walked to the nearby Wilson car park. Harper recalled that Julie still appeared drunk at that time. Several other party guests were also leaving around the same time and spoke to Julie in the car park. On their walk, Julie told her co-worker that she was planning to meet up with someone that night, but she didn't tell her who she was going to see. Harper asked her, "Come on, you tell me who." Julie replied, "No, I can't tell you, it's a secret. I can't tell." They both then went their separate ways. Harper got inside her car while Julie was standing by her car, a 1963 two-tone gray Fiat sedan. Some sources claim that Julie went back to the party for a short time. Julie was one of the last 4 or 5 people to leave the function room. She left the hotel sometime around 1 a.m. Julie drove her car from the Wilson car park and saw another Parmelia Hilton employee, Jeffrey Pierce. He was waiting outside the Wilson car park for his girlfriend to pick him up. Jeffrey recalled he was waiting under a tree as it was raining. While he was waiting, Julie drove up to him and asked if he was okay. Jeffrey told her he was fine and just waiting for his girlfriend to pick him up. Jeffrey remembered Julie exited the car park and headed towards Mounts Bay Road. This was the last known sighting of Julie Cutler. That day, when Julie did not return home, Julie roommate Fiona contacted her father, Roger. Roger contacted her sister, Nicole, who hadn't seen her either. Roger wasn't concerned but told Fiona to report her missing if she doesn't arrive by the next day. On 21st June 1988, Fiona reported Julie missing after she failed to show up. On Wednesday, the 22nd of June, a man went to swim at Perth's most popular beach, Cottesloe, when he kicked something metal in the ocean surface. Investigating further, he discovered an overturned car partially buried in the sand. Upon closer inspection, he observed that the car's doors were firmly jammed, likely due to the sand accumulation. He immediately notified police. The car was found on its roof with the engine facing out towards the ocean. The car was fully submerged about 50 meters from the shore, halfway between the groin and the Cottesloe Surf Club. There was substantial damage to the body panels, and the bonnet and roof had been torn from the chassis. Inside the cabin, the back seat and carpet were missing. However, the back seat had washed up against the wall of the groin a few hours earlier. The car keys were found in the ignition, and attached to them was Julie's house key. A pair of women's black high-heeled shoes, a small pink woman's handbag, some paperwork, and a car battery had also washed up in the area between the pylon and the groin wall. At first, the car seemed to have been rolled off at high speed or crushed by a heavy machinery. Investigation revealed that a storm on the night Julie disappeared had subjected the vehicle to forceful underwater turbulence currents and intense surf, ultimately crushing the car. According to a forensic examination of the car, the ignition key was turned on, the lights were on, the gear was in neutral, the seat right forward was locked, the two rear doors were locked, the two front doors were unlocked, the driver's door window was wound down, all the other windows were up, the driver's door was open, ajar. In the glove box, police found the vehicle's license papers, 2 champagne flutes wrapped in a tea towel, and a handwritten note on the back that read, Mike 114 Walpole Street up Albany Highway. It was confirmed to be Julie's handwriting, indicating the address where 2 of her friends resided. However, there was no known individual named Mike residing at that address. It was deemed irrelevant to Julie's disappearance. The champagne flutes were similar style to glasses used at the Parmelia Hilton. Inside the car's ashtray, police found cigarette butts from a brand that Julie did not smoke. Julie was a social smoker and only smoked herbal or clove cigarettes. However, it is unclear if it was of any investigative value, as most sources failed to mention it. Other than the hairs in the car seat, police did not find any physical evidence such as clothing, bags, shoes, human tissue, or blood in the vehicle. It was at first believed the car was driven off the groin into the ocean. However, later, an examination of the rock groin revealed no evidence that the car had been driven off it at any point, and it appeared quite unlikely that a vehicle could be launched off the top of the groin over the large rocks which sloped down to the ocean. Authorities now believe the car went into the water from the service road near the old Cottesloe beach building. On the stormy night she went missing, the tide was extremely high, and waves and seawater were spilling over the retaining wall by the beach. This situation could have caused her car to be carried into the ocean by waves. There was a small hill right before the retaining wall, and investigators believe as the car was in neutral, the car simply rolled down the hill and gathered up enough speed to launch over the retaining wall, and from there the tides took the car into the ocean. They ruled out the possibility of the car entering the water from the groin because there was no damage to the front of the car. Cottesloe is a very popular beach in Perth, but On that day, no one was there due to the stormy weather, so no one witnessed the car being swept into the sea. After finding Julie's car, the police carried out extensive searches on land, in the air, and at sea for several days, hoping to find any trace of her. Divers from the police explored the ocean floor to the extent possible, but unfortunately, no evidence was discovered. Police aboard boats scoured an area stretching from North Mole in Fremantle to Hillary's, covering up to 2.5 kilometers from the shore. Despite an extensive search, no trace of Julie Cutler was ever found. Given that Cottesloe is a popular spot for early morning swimmers who typically arrive at the beach by 5:30 a.m., and considering that no one reported seeing Julie's car in the water, it is believed Julie disappeared between 12:30 a.m. and 5:30 a.m. on June 20th, 1988. Police questioned everyone who had seen or talked to Julie that night. They questioned Tadeusz Maciejewski and Gregory Swiatek, who had invited Julie to their flat. They thoroughly searched their flat and vehicle in Glendalough. Both men were extensively questioned and cleared. Many tips and sightings would be reported in the next few weeks, including a perplexing phone call to a journalist where the caller identified herself as Julie and asked to be left alone. However, the call was later determined to be a hoax. A year later, on the anniversary on Julie Cutler's disappearance, a couple who owned a kebab shop in the Centerways Arcade, Hay Street, Perth, in 1988, came forward and told police that they had found a plastic bag in the shop that had been left by a customer beneath one of the tables. There was a uniform inside it, including black tights and a blouse. The uniform was similar to the one worn by the staff at the Parmelia Hilton. They put the uniform under the counter in case someone came to collect it, but no one ever did. The couple said that they were unaware of Julie's disappearance initially. Recently, upon encountering renewed appeals for information in the news, accompanied by an image of a uniform resembling the one they had discovered, they promptly reached out to the police. They still had the blouse, which police seized and confirmed was a size 14 blouse and part of a Parmelia Hilton uniform. The size was consistent with what Julie might have worn. The blouse was sent for forensic testing, but were unable to obtain anything from it. In 1996, 8 years after Julie's disappearance, a beachgoer discovered some items about 1.33 kilometers from where Julie's car was discovered. The items were weathered and consisted of a Collins 1988 diary, 2 pieces of what appeared to be the handle of a bag, a lady's purse, a lady's wallet, a nail file, half of a broken pen bearing the name Hawaii, and 1 gray Westpac Bank checkbook holder. The man wrote a letter to a local newspaper in October 1996 urging the owner to come forward. However, no came forward. After reading about Julie's disappearance in January 1997 and the fact her handbag had never been located, he contacted the police, providing them with the discovered items and the location where he found them. Julie's family was unable to verify if the discovered items belonged to her. Despite Julie maintaining a daily journal and no 1988 diary being discovered among her belongings, her usual practice involved using a journal or notebook style, which differed from the Collins date-to-a-page diary found. The items were never conclusively linked to Julie. Shockingly, the items were lost or misplaced over the years. Authorities still have photographs of the items, but they can't be forensically tested. The area where the items were found were later excavated twice in the hopes that Julie's body may have been buried there. However, nothing was ever found. Investigators are trying to figure if 2 incidents that occurred just before Julie's went missing may have been related to her disappearance. First was when Julie's apartment had been broken into just few weeks before her disappearance. Julie's roommate reported to the police that they both lost some personal items, including Julie's passport and some of her cards, and some cash was stolen. It appeared to be a straightforward, opportunistic burglar after their apartment door had been left unlocked. However, Fiona found it strange as she stated that they were vigilant and always locked their doors. Fingerprints had been obtained, but there was no link back to any of the possible suspects, and nothing to suggest that it was related to Julie's disappearance. In the second incident, Julie had called her father just weeks before she disappeared and told him that she had been driving home after a shift at the hotel when a car had begun to tailgate her in an apparent attempt to run her off the road. The car had followed her closely for several kilometers along Sterling Highway, almost touching her rear bumper at times. Then, as Julie's car approached the turnoff for Eric Street in Cottesloe, the mystery car pulled alongside her car before suddenly veering in front of it. The mystery vehicle then slowed almost to a standstill before Julie swerved around it and sped away. The incident was reported to police, but the driver was never found. Julie was extremely concerned and believed that whoever was in the car wanted to run her off the road or force her to pull over. At the time, it was believed to be a random road rage. However, police now wonder if it was a failed abduction attempt. In the years after Julie's disappearance, several of her relatives have received strange calls from an unidentified male caller with a European accent, possibly German, who asked about Julie's disappearance and suggested he had information, although no specific information was ever provided. Over the years, police have considered over 40 suspects, including the Claremont serial killer. However, no one was ever charged. One theory suggested that Julie, who had consumed a significant amount of alcohol, parked her car at the service road. She put her car in neutral and forgot to engage the parking brake. It is possible she may have fallen asleep and the car rolled into the water, raising the possibility of a tragic accident. While she may have intended to meet someone at the popular Perth beach, it is also conceivable that she went there to enjoy solitude. The idea that she negligently allowed the car to roll into the ocean, though not the most likely scenario, is not ruled out. Another theory suggests that Julie did plan of meeting someone that night. She left the hotel, possibly taking the 2 champagne flutes so she could share a drink with this mystery person. They then went to the kebab shop where Julie accidentally left her work uniform. The two later ended up at Cottesloe. The person then murdered Julie and pushed her car into the ocean along with her body. Even though her car and some of the personal belongings washed up at the beach, her body may have drifted deep into the ocean. No individual has ever come forward to confirm they had arrangements to meet up with Julie after the staff function that night, and she did not show up, or alternatively, that they did meet up with her, which suggests whoever Julie was meeting up with might have some information about her disappearance. Authorities also considered the possibility that Julie may have committed suicide. However, her family and friends do not believe that she would have taken her own life. At her inquest, her father, Roger, stated that Julie had never seemed depressed for any lengthy period of time, and he did not think she was prone to acting rashly. Julie's sister, Nicole, said Julie was moody at times, but no more so than many young women of that age. She remembered Julie as very theatrical and dramatic and agreed she liked to have a lot of attention, but there was nothing about her mood or behavior that seemed to suggest she was having significant mental health issues. Julie's friends also dismissed the possibility of her committing suicide, highlighting her passion for writing and expressive nature through journals and long letters. They emphasized that it would be highly uncharacteristic of Julie not to leave any note explaining her actions or describing her thoughts and emotions if she had chosen to end her life. Despite finding paperwork in her car, no such note or diary was ever discovered. Moreover, witnesses at the party stated Julie was in a good state of mind, seemed happy, and there was nothing out of the ordinary in her behavior. Julie's family and friends have spent more than 30 years wondering what happened to her and hoping that someone someday will come forward to provide information to the police. There is a $250,000 reward for anyone who could help solve Julie's disappearance. So, what do you think happened to Julie? Could it have been an accident? Or was someone involved in her disappearance? Drop your thoughts and theories in the comments below. If you have any information, don't hesitate to reach out to the authorities. Every detail counts, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more true crime mysteries like this one.